Hi there, Coach Sage Kennedy of VO2 Max Productions here with another training talk. Today we're going to talk about what I see as kind of the myth that you have to do back-to-back long runs. Kind of how back-to-back long runs, I think, in my opinion and experience, are overrated a little bit. And I will say, kind of as a disclaimer, first of all, I have never run 100 miles, and I think maybe for some 100-mile races, they might start to have a little bit more value. But for 100K and shorter, even some of the mountain races, people think you need to, do these crazy, huge weekends where they do back-to-back long runs. And I'm going to tell you why I think that's not necessary, and why it's too much of a risk for the potential rewards and gains that you could make from it. And we'll start off, I guess, with the premise that we have two different systems. And again, I've mentioned this before in other training talks. I've mentioned this in our new ebook, The Sage Running Secret, A Guide to Speedy Ultras, which will be on our website, sagerunning.com, in a month when we finish it. Thanks to all those, by the way, that pre-ordered, as well as any of the training plans that we have on there. Really appreciate your support. Couldn't do this without you guys. But there's two different systems mainly that we're training. And there's a skeletal muscular system, our nerves, or tendons, muscles, bones, ligaments, basically. And then our cardiovascular system, our heart, lungs. You could even look at the powerhouse of the cell, mitochondria, basically, the cardiovascular system. And so these two systems obviously interact a lot. There's a lot of overlap when you're running a race or doing a workout. But if we separate these two systems and we look at the separation, and when we do a long run, we see that, or any training run basically, it's our skeletal muscular system is very fragile relative to our heart and lungs. We break. Stress fractures, tendinitis, muscle tears, muscle soreness is going to happen a lot faster usually, especially if we're doing a lot of vertical or we're going for long periods of time doing long runs. Whereas our heart and lungs, you could go at a moderate intensity, a high-end aerobic intensity, maybe 75-80% of your maximum heart rate, and you could do that for hours and hours on end, as long as you're fueled and you're not crossing your lactate threshold. So, and the heart and lungs really like those types of adaptations. And that's the reason why you see professional cyclists. They could go out every day and ride on their bike for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours a day, easy. Maybe they get some soreness, but the heart and lungs are getting trained very well. Swimmers, same thing, they could do intervals a lot more. It's a non-impact activity, whereas in running we have it a lot harder. I have the time to train 3, 4 hours, 5 hours a day, but I don't, because I get really sore. I might get a stress fracture or tear a muscle, get tendinitis. And especially when you're doing a lot of work, a lot of physical, or a lot of vertical displacement, running up and down a mountain or running up hills or running at a high velocity, even on flats, there is a lot of muscle damage there. And so we're training that system, the skeletal muscular system, get stronger and stronger. And then, of course, our cardiovascular system, we also want to train to maximize both. And this goes with fuel efficiency, also being able to burn fat more effectively as a fuel. That's a key long run adaptation for ultra runners. And so, the argument is, you have to do, a huge weekend. You have to do a 20-mile long or a 30-mile long run and then back it up with a 25-miler the next day. Pretty extreme example. A lot of people might not be in that mileage range, but it is a risky example because, obviously if you work a typical work week, you work Monday through Friday, maybe you do have 2 days off, or maybe, you work part-time and you have Monday and Tuesday off, or, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. You see these 2 days and you're like, hey, I'm gonna hit it hard. I'm gonna get in a ton of miles and do my long runs on these days where I actually have some time to train, time and energy to train. But I'm saying that's not necessarily a great idea because you might hit, over 50% of your weekly mileage total all in that weekend. And it's kind of the whole idea of crash training theory. I think the Chinese actually started this crash training more with 5K, 10K and marathon runners, is they train extremely hard. They double their volume and intensity for like 2 or 3 days, and then they go extremely easy. So it's the hard easy principle, but very extreme. And they go for an extreme boost in fitness, extreme super compensation. But at the same time, it's also an extreme risk for injury. And that's kind of the point I want to drive home here is you're doing these back-to-back long runs. Maybe you do, 2 long, moderately paced, intense long runs in a row, very long days on your feet, maybe a lot of vertical displacement. and you're wrecked the second day. And that's kind of the idea of it, but it's also risky because if you're fatigued, you're running with poor form, maybe you trip and stumble and fall on a downhill. You can't always be, flying down technical rocks every single day and expect to do well or to run with proper form. And if you're getting really tired, you're not getting in that proper neuromuscular stimulus where you're moving with fast feet. And so there it's kind of, that's kind of a pitfall. And I think, the increased injury risk as well. You go out and do a long run, you're pretty sore the next day. You try to do it again, you're running on really tired legs, again with bad form probably. A little bit of tendonitis could get really inflamed and cause you to maybe take several weeks off or ruin your whole season, or stress reaction in your tibia or your metatarsals, bones end up being a stress fracture, and then you're really screwed. Or just crossing that fine line between training optimally and overtraining, I think is easy to do when you do these back-to-back long runs. So we look at that and you're like, well, Sage, I want to do this ultra, I want to be super strong, I want to be able to burn fat efficiently as a fuel. These back-to-back long runs seem like my only stimulus to do this. Well, I'm going to say they're not, because if you're training consistently at relatively high volume, high mileage throughout the week, or maybe 2 or 3 days going into this long run, you're already a little bit depleted in your glycogen stores. You're already tapping into some of that fat burning. If you're being consistent in your training and you're running more times per week and you're running more regular runs, and generally longer runs are good, definitely over an hour or 90 minutes if you have time for it, and then to get in that super long run of several hours, or at least 20 miles maybe. It depends on your weekly mileage though and your time constraints. So the skeletal muscular stress, it's not, you're already doing consistent high mileage, you're developing the strength, you're developing some glycogen depletion. So when you go into this long run, maybe it's your key long run workout of the weekend, as you see like in our Sage running plans, and you actually, this long run is a very significant workout, it's a very hard workout, and it's a very specific workout. So maybe you do 20 miles, 25 miles, whatever on a Saturday, and you don't necessarily have to go long the next day. Sunday could be a very easy recovery day. It could be a moderate mileage day, maybe you're still running 10 or 12 miles, but you are kind of absorbing that long run. And again, this goes with the fact that if you do your single long run, you do a main long run once a week, and you do it fairly hard, you see a lot of our long runs, we have big negative splits efforts where you speed up in the second half of the long run and you're doing a fartlek workout, or you're surging on some of the hills, up and down hills. That's going to callous you, that's going to toughen you up and make you very prepared for the specific stresses that you'll encounter in the latter stages of an ultramarathon race. And again, if you're doing it on specific terrain that your target course profile is going to be on, then you're also giving yourself that advantage. And so I'm saying, I guess here in closing, you don't necessarily have to go out and always do these back-to-back long runs. You don't have to have these huge weekends where you have this extreme training volume and extreme time commitment. Although it is good to take advantage of the few free hours that you have and the energy you have maybe on a weekend or days you don't have to work. So again, it is about balance, and it is about finding those opportunities. But again, I just don't think that, I think it's overrated a little bit in some of the ultra community, and it's something that I really haven't done a whole lot. I don't do back-to-back long runs because it's too hard for me. I've overtrained doing tempo runs and then a long run the next day. It just doesn't work with me. I need easy recovery days at very relaxed paces in between. And the same thing goes with adding a bunch of vertical too. If you're cranking up hills, up and down hills all the time, it's going to catch up with you. You need to mix it up with some flat recovery days, I think. Depending on what race you're training for, but for the most part in mountain ultra trail running, at least in the courses that I've seen, I think that's a good variety and a good blend to have. And of course it meshes together with your other intense workouts, your tempo runs, lactate threshold type of intensity, or hill repeat workouts as well, which we get into more with our Sage running plans. You can check out our website, sagerunning.com, and sign up there for a free newsletter that we send out, and also keep updated with the site and the ebook. Thanks again for all those that purchased or pre-ordered the book and the plans, or just the book alone. I'm going to do a drawing here pretty soon where I enter all your names in a hat and I just pull them out and you'll get random prizes, including maybe a pair of Hoka shoes So thanks again, I got your name on the list. You should have gotten an email with the email that you use to register for the plans, with the option to get the plans early if you do want those ultra plans early. But again, the ebook will come out later in the month here, so stay tuned for that. And thanks again for subscribing and viewing this YouTube channel. Really appreciate it. I'm going to get some more training talks going as we move along here throughout the summer, and keep you kind of updated with my training as well, any other random adventures that I like to throw on here. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for subscribing, thanks for sharing this video if you like it, and really hope that your training's going well and that you're enjoying running as much as I am. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.